Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Today, we're on a United show, Keane on United, and today I'm joined by two very established guests here today. So first off, to my right, I'm joined by lead judges from AFTV and the Same Old Arsenal podcast. And I'm joined again, as always, by Callum McFadden from Football CFB and the Football Writers Association. Lads, how are you this evening? It's a very exciting weekend of football we have coming ahead. Manchester United versus Arsenal. Massive football game here this weekend. Both teams, both on good runs of form. And Man United are on the back of a 5-0 win against Leipzig. Arsenal beat my Irish counterparts Dundalk 3-0 last night. So both teams on the back of wins in Europe. So both teams should have confidence coming into this weekend. So we have a lot to discuss tonight. Lee, I'm going to come to you first. Firstly, before we talk about the game itself, like you're on AFTV yourself, been on that channel for quite some time, and you're on the Same Old Arsenal podcast as well. Like, just talk to us, I suppose, just about kind of yourself, kind of being on them channels, and kind of what led to you being on them channels.
God, blimey, like it's a long time ago since I was on AFTV. Well, I started on that. That just started from just one mad interview. It went from there, and I've got to say, I've been very, very fortunate. Things that have happened for me going on to that, and it's just unbelievable that when you do these sort of things. That before I even went on AFTV, obviously following the Arsenal and things like that, you'd make a comment and no one was interested in what you got to say. As soon as I went on that, I wasn't even on Twitter or Instagram or anything. But once I went on that, it just went mad. And now if I make a comment, loads of people will either agree or disagree and, slag me off or whatever, So, but that's it. It's what it is. It's football. It's all about opinions. And, I've been lucky. I've been able to meet a lot of people, good people through it. And one of the things that I've done through that was Craig got in contact with me, who was doing the Gooner Talk first, and started doing a little bit of that. And then he wanted to do another channel called The Same Old Arsenal, and asked me to get involved with that. And that's how that come about as well. I love doing that. It's with the guys that we do that with every Monday, and you get to meet different people through that, and that's the greatest thing right now, because of what you do. You get to meet Man United, unfortunately Man United fans now, but you get to meet all different people, and I think it's great, and interacting with other fans is always good.
Yeah, that's good. That's the beauty of covering football. No matter what team you support, the interaction with other fans, hearing different opinions, it's always kind of get that interaction, because I suppose social media in itself to talk about football can be a rotten place. But when you're on things like this, you're on a channel there's a bit of diversity there. There's all different supporters, and you kind of hear different stories and kind of how fans are feeling. That's the beauty, kind of being in kind of podcasting work or just normal general football work. It's good. And Callum himself, you do fantastic work with CFB as well. You cover a lot of football. You have a diverse kind of audience. You have a European football show, you have a Scottish Premier League show, and you work with Phil Brown as well with Beyond the Pitch as well, and former United player Willie Morgan. So you can definitely, obviously you'd have the kind of same background as Lee in terms you talk to a lot of different fans and kind of different people within the game as well.
Absolutely. And one of the first things I would like to say in regards to that is, for yourself, Keane, you're doing an incredible job here with the weekly Armchair Kickoff. It's taken off. I saw you reached a milestone of 100 subscribers, over 100 subscribers on YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic, because at the end of the day, every milestone counts, and that'll be 1,000 before you know it, and rightly so. I think you're right when you mention what it's like giving opinions in football. So many people watch this, Keane, or watch Same Old Arsenal or listen to CFB, and they probably think, oh, that's easy, I could do what those guys do. But it's a lot harder than that. You need to do your preparation. You need to have good relationship with your guests and your co-hosts, which you do. And Lee, I was just saying off air that My good colleague James Rowe, who's the chief football writer at CFB, speaks very highly of Lee, and for me that shows you that both of you on the show tonight are doing an incredible job with what you're doing. And in regards to CFB, you're right, I try and make it as diverse as possible. It started as a sort of Scottish football show, but it's been going really well, and long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, there's a comment just came in from Jennifer Bryant, William Bryant's mother, who's a regular on the podcast, says, "Hi Keane, Jennifer here, massive gooner. Say hi to Lee for me. Love all the AFTV. Enjoy all the podcasts here. Also, keep up the interesting conversation. # come on, you Gunners." Yeah, look, shout out to Jennifer, though. She's William's mother. Absolutely, though, sound woman. Do you know what I mean? And she's a massive Arsenal fan. Do you know what I mean? Very, 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 very passionate about the club. And again, look, it's always good to kind of get the fan opinion. It's always great. Like, I love it here. Like, Joe, we've all different fans. We even have Tottenham fans on the show, and they gave me some ribbon over that 6-1 loss. But you know, it's always kind of great to get opinion. It's fantastic to I suppose talk to different people, especially during this lockdown period, which is hard for everybody. You know, I suppose talking about the football side of things with the game. Obviously, look, we mentioned it just at the start that both Manchester United and Arsenal were both playing in Europe this week. Man United had the 5-0 win over Leipzig in Champions League, and Arsenal beat Dundalk 3-0 in the Europa League last night. Joe Callum, I'm going to come to you first. Look, we're on the back of a 6-1 defeat after the international break, and looks like there seems to be a turnaround in our recent run of results. We're unbeaten in the last kind of 4 games. Can you just talk to us about the recent result against Leipzig in the Champions League and kind of how you felt kind of coming out of that game?
I think, to be honest with you, the Leipzig game was a real statement. Leipzig are a team who are, whatever you think of them and their ownership, etc., are a team who can compete with most sides in Europe. I mean, last season they progressed well in the Champions League. They're a team, obviously, that's got quality in abundance. You look at Upamecano and Cuckoo in midfield, Kevin Campbell. Poulsen gets a hard time from certain sections of the media, but he's a good player. Forsberg, I could go on. And then Julian Nagelsmann, they've got a coach who's considered to be the sort of next big thing. I mean, if Ole was to leave United, if Klopp was to leave Liverpool, even if Pep leaves City, Nagelsmann's name would be up there for all of those elite jobs. So Manchester United were playing against a team that have pedigree, and for me, I'll be honest with you, going into the game, I was worried. I thought Leipzig would score. But credit to Ole and credit to United. They've tightened up at the back following that game against Tottenham that you mentioned, Keane, which we all dread talking about. I was really impressed with the diamond formation, Keane. We spoke after the game during the week, and I asked you, I said, do you think Manchester United will keep the diamond? And you said, well, why not? And I have to say, I agree with you. I thought Fred was very good. He's had a lot of stick at times during his time at United, and some of it rightly so, but he's capable of a big performance. Greenwood was really good. Martial was good. It was great to see Van de Beek get a start, because United fans and observers of football, including Marco van Basten, I've been desperate to see him get a start. But Rashford is the man we have to talk about off the bench. He was clinical when he came on. What I liked about his finishing was it was really emphatic. It was a Van Nistelrooy-esque finishing from him, as Paul Scholes and others had mentioned, which, to be honest with Marcus, I don't think you see enough of. Normally you see him power a shot like he did, I think, for the second goal he scored, where it's kind of down the middle and the power takes over the line. But that third goal for the hat-trick, that was clinical, and that's the sort of finish we want to see from Marcus Rashford more often, because I think if he can get into the box more often, he can score goals like that. He can move quickly across the 6-yard box, inside that 18-yard box, and make the chances count. Also have to say credit to Luke Shaw. Telles came in. I know he's obviously tested positive for COVID, and we hope he's okay. But a lot of people would have thought, right, Shaw's head might go down, his form might drop, but I thought he was very good the other night, considering that he knows he's got stiff competition there. So all in all, long answer, I apologise for that, but a very impressive performance.
Yeah, look, I suppose with me, I was very vocal. I've said it on my Twitter, and I've said it on other channels. Last couple of weeks, I've said, go 4-4-2 diamond. We have the midfielders. It provides our attacking players with a good platform. I did say, though, with that formation, when Telles comes back, he comes in at left back, because with that formation, you need fullbacks who are going to attack. you need a good outlet there. Wan-Bissaka is not a defender who's going to do that, but will tell us we have that outlet. So I think when he does recover from COVID, that's something we can most definitely see. All in all, very happy with the performance. We bossed the game from start to finish, and look, hopefully onto a weekend against a very tough side in Arsenal. Lee, you've beaten our obviously Irish counterparts here, Dundalk 3-0 in the Europa League last night, and Arteta did make quite a few changes, made 10 changes overall last night. Saw a couple of youngsters come into the team, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, and it seemed like them come in. And again, Nicolas Pepe got on the score sheet last night, who scored quite a good goal. Like, how would you assess last night's game kind of against Dundalk? And has any player kind of in them 10 changes, has any of them kind of staked the claim for Sunday?
No, I don't think so. I think that he's going to go with the tried and trusted. I think, you can't really gauge on yesterday. I think that it was always going to win that game. But it was good to see. I think, you guys can relate to this as well when you've got a lot of youngsters in the side. Six players come through our academy, played last night or participated in the game, which is fantastic for a club like Arsenal. It's a big club. We like to see our players coming through. We don't, over the years, not as many as we'd liked, but when you talk about Marcus Rashford, you have that sort of I suppose like a bond towards them sort of guys because they've come through the academy and you feel that they're one of yours. So we've got a couple coming through. Obviously, the pick for us is Saka. He's a top player. 18 years of age, very very good player. So it's nice that we've got some good youngsters coming through. So it's enjoyable, So hopefully they get opportunities to progress and do well coming down in the future. But for this guy, for us on Sunday, I think it was just basically making sure that we got our sort of star players rested. And I use that word loosely, star players, but our first team players at this moment in time, because from the game against Man United, Tottenham, your form has gone one way and ours has gone the other. We're sort of like escalators that have gone, one's gone up and the other one's gone down. Unfortunately, we're on the downward spiral. So it's going to be a tough game for us, And listen, you bloody Man United lot, we never do well at Old Trafford, we just do not do well up there, whatever team that you play there. And listen, I've gone to Old Trafford over the last 4 or 5 years and speaking to Man United, we've got no chance of winning this game. This is and you've ended up beating us, or we've got draws. And even last season's game, I felt that I was disappointed because I felt that Man United were in a little bit of a dodgy period. It was time to push on, but we didn't. We ended up drawing, and this time. Man United are in, I think, fantastic form. They look really, really good in the games that I've seen. Even against Chelsea, I think, maybe a little bit disappointed by that game, but it tells you a lot that Chelsea, with all their free-flowing players, decided to park the bus and were happy with a point. That tells you something when teams are prepared to do that. I think Spurs, when I watched the game against Spurs, forget about the sending off. I think that they would have won that game at a counter. Man United was so poor that day. But sometimes you can have a bad result and that can enhance your season, like a few home truths be said. And I think that's what's happened with Man United. A few home truths were said that day and they've got their act together. Hopefully, after the disappointment of the weekend for us against Leicester, we may have a few home truths coming our way as well. So, listen, I think if you was a Man United fan, you'd be confident that you can beat the Arsenal on Sunday. But, Arsenal I think, are a little bit tougher to beat than what they have been in the past. So, and we have got players, if they perform, that can hurt anybody.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I think since Arteta has come in, I think Callum would agree with me also with this, is that he's made Arsenal very tough to beat. He's made them more defensively astute. And there's a big criticism that Arsenal have kind of had in the final years of Wenger, and especially under Unai Emery, is a team that were very open. Their defence was always kind of open. But since Arteta's come in, he's done one thing, and he's shored up Arsenal's defence. I think that's a testament to Arteta, like being a young manager, which is something that we're going to kind of come to in a moment. But I wouldn't say I'm not overly confident with regards to, because he will set up well and he'll set us up to break it down. For us, try to break it yourselves down, which we do have trouble with. And Arsenal are dangerous on the counter attack. They've likes Nicolas Pepe, they've likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, they've likes of Willian, who I think will, if they do what they've done against City, they might potentially play him down the middle. And with his pace running at Maguire, that could be a concern. But I think Arteta has set up Arsenal well since he's come in. And I know there's a lot of fans who are split on Mikel Arteta, but I think he's done a pretty decent job at Arsenal since he's come in, considering the fact, like Unai Emery, defensively, Arsenal weren't there under Emery, but I think Arteta's come in, and that's, I think, one of the biggest kind of praise I'd have for him since he's come into Arsenal is definitely the defensive job that he's done with the team. Because predominantly as City's assistant coach with Manchester City under Pep, he was always known for the attacking side of the game, studying Pep Guardiola and playing possession-based football. But he's showed to be adaptable, and he's come in now and he's kind of given Arsenal a solid kind of foundation in terms of a shape. Like Callum, how would you agree with that? Would you agree with that consensus of Arsenal under Arteta?
I think he's definitely tried to show Arsenal up. Arsenal obviously will be disappointed, as Lee mentions, with the result against Leicester, albeit Leicester are a good side. I think with Arteta and with Solskjaer, you find this, because they are so inexperienced as such when it comes to managing clubs of the size of Manchester United and Arsenal, you get a mix of people who are all for them because they obviously were great servants at the club, and you get people that are a wee bit sceptical and think, have they got what it takes to take this club to the next level? So far, I think he's definitely improved the club in terms of stability-wise, but again, the big challenge is going to come this season in terms of getting closer to that top four, because if he doesn't get closer to that top four or Arsenal drift again, then there will be calls for another change. And obviously, I'm sure Lee will elaborate far more on that than I can, but I definitely think that'll be interesting to watch. And just on Solskjaer as well, I mean, Keane, we've spoke before. Ollie, for me, achieved everything he could last season at Manchester United by finishing third, considering where he was before Bruno Fernandes came in. Yes, he would like to have won the Europa League or the FA Cup and added a trophy, but to get third place, I thought was a good achievement for him. If we're being honest, with United, a third place team, traditionally, absolutely not, but they got the job done. They finished third. And over the summer, they should have added to their squad in a more urgent fashion, shall we say, to try and compete this season. There was a lot of influx and deadline day, which, yes, you could say it's better late than never, but it's not how a club that wants to try and close that gap should be doing if they're serious about competing again. But in terms of both guys, as I say, they're adapting to managing big clubs. And for me, I think they're both doing a decent job so far. This is a big season for Ollie. I mentioned with Arteta, if he doesn't get Champions League, there'll be calls for him to go. Let's be honest, that's going to be the situation for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season. No Champions League football, and United will change their manager. For me, there's no doubt about that. Who that will be that would come next, I don't know. And I'll be brutally honest, I hope we don't have to talk about that, because I want nothing more than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to succeed, because he gets Manchester United. He gave the club great service as a player, and I would love nothing more to see him give great service as a manager.
And Lee, like, what is your opinion on both managers in terms of Ollie and Arteta? Like, how do you think they are adapting to kind of life as kind of managing the big clubs?
I think it's always difficult, and one of the things that you're only as good as your players. It doesn't matter, you know, who you have in the team, you know. And I think that with Ollie a little bit the same with Mikel, if I'll be honest. That if they've done well, nothing's really said. It's expected, you know. You're expected to win those games, blah blah blah. But if they lose, they're not experienced enough, or they're not got this, they're out of their depth. So they're always going to have those problems thrown at them until they get success. Now, Ollie, I think what they've done last season, Manchester United. Listen, Manchester United were struggling, and then in January they went and bought Fernandes, and look how things changed. You know, one player changed that all around for them. He gave them something that they didn't have, and from then on they've pushed on, and they've got good players. Man United have got good players. Arsenal, I think they're in the same sort of boat. I think that there needs to strengthen a couple of players. Now we've got Partey who's hopefully going to be able to do that for us. But what Arsenal really need is to get into that top four, as Callum alluded to. But it's a strange one, because as much as it's fantastic Arsenal winning the FA Cup last year, and it was great, that has given, I think, Mikel Arteta a little bit of time. That's given him a little bit more probably than Solskjaer, and he's got them into the top four. I think the top four is great, but I think that you need to put some points into the bank, and I think that Mikel has done that. But the trouble with Arsenal fans is and the thing that's getting us our goats going is that we see teams like Leicester go to Manchester City and win. We see Tottenham go to Manchester United and win. We see all these teams, Manchester United going to whoever, like Manchester City last season, and winning. We don't win against the top six. We just do not get a result against any of these teams. We've gone to Manchester City this season, lost 1-0, be it we was in the game, but we still lost. We played fairly well against Liverpool, but in the end, ultimately lost 3-1, and it continues to keep happening. You go back to last season, we lost to Spurs at the back end of it. You go to all these, and I think that we drew at Chelsea last season, we drew at Manchester United. But Arsenal is Arsenal Football Club. It still, should be getting results against these big clubs. And when other teams are going and getting them, that we should have. Like Leicester, have they got better players than Arsenal? No. But at the end of the day, they've gone to Manchester City and Arsenal and won. So there's frustrations in the Arsenal fan base. There's no two ways about that. Now, it can go either two ways for us, obviously, on the weekend. If we lose again, which is what's expected, it's 4 defeats, and it's against 3 of them against teams that we're expected to lose. But that's the attitude at the minute. We're expected to lose at Liverpool. We're expected to lose at Man United. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. We was expected to get something from these games, and that's where the problem lies. Or it could go the other way. If we were to go and beat Manchester United on Sunday, it will be a massive boost. And I think that if we were to do it, then I think people would take Arsenal a little bit more serious, if you know what I mean. They look at it and think to themselves, you know what, mate, it's fantastic listening to you guys turning around and saying, yeah, that Arsenal are definitely a lot harder to beat and whatever. That's lovely from a neutral point of view. But you've still got that in mind, they're still hard to beat, but they're going to lose. But if we was to go to one of the big boys and get a result, it would send a message to people. And I think that's the thing that's frustrating Arsenal fans, is that we've not been able to send a message to anybody. Let's hope we can send them. Well, from our point of view, let's hope we send a message on Sunday.
Yeah, and you certainly have the firepower to do it. Like
exactly.
In my opinion, and I've said this on this podcast many times since the start of it, since we started this back in April this year. I said that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for me is the best number 9 in the league, without a shadow of doubt. That's my opinion. Last season he was the best number 9 in the league. This year he's scoring goals as well. And again, he's such a consistent player, and I think Arsenal done a very good job getting him onto that new contract, because let's face it, if he left, could you trust Stan Kroenke to come in and replace him?
No.
Probably not. Same way if Rashford left United in the morning, do I trust the Glazers to replace him appropriately? Probably not. So to be fair, Arsenal have a lot of players in there who can cause us problems, and it just depends how Mikel Arteta. I suppose game management is going to be a massive thing this weekend. It's kind of, I suppose, it'd be interesting to see how both teams approach this. I just want to kind of come away from this match just for one moment, guys. Marcus Rashford has done fantastic work on the pitch, obviously, for Man United in England, right? He's been a fantastic player for both sides. But I'd just like to talk to both of you about the work he's been doing off the pitch for the kids in the UK. He's basically making the UK government nearly take a U-turn with these free school meals, and everyone seems to be kind of coming together, and they seem to be chipping in and trying to make it a better place for the young kids growing up. Lee, I'm going to come to you first. As an Arsenal fan, how do you feel seeing a player using their influence in a good way and kind of providing for the youth?
One, I think is fantastic. Two, he's young, and I think that just shows you what kind of upbringing that he's had. You know what I mean? That he can do that. And obviously he cares, you know, so he's obviously experienced it a little bit. I remember putting out a tweet when he was getting a lot of stick at first about it all, and I thought, well, I can't believe that, you know what I mean? He's trying to do so. I think there's even people saying, oh, you should concentrate on your football rather than do that. But listen, footballers get criticised if they don't do things, and when they do things, they get criticised as well. But I think what he looked at it and thought, I don't care whether I get criticised or whether I don't. I'm going to go and do what I'm going to do, and I think it's worked in his favour. He's been, you know, fantastic for him to do that. But also, I think what it's done is given him a boost in his footballing life as well. Because, you know, listen, let's be honest, Man United players are not the most well liked around the country and all that. And the reason being is because a lot of teams are jealous of them, you know, over the years. That's the way it is, you know, and you have to accept that. Being a Man United player, you're not going to be well liked. No one really likes Man United for those reasons. It's not personal. It's just the way that it is. But I think what he's done is he's turned around that fact is that, you know, you can't realistically hate him or want to hate him. You know, you can, you know, so probably a few other Man United players are going to get a bit of stick for a bit, like, you know, Pogba being one of them. But I think that, you know, it's a very, very good PR thing for him as well, because, you know, you've got Arsenal fans going, you know, he's kind of all right, that Rashford, isn't he? Like, he's kind of a good guy, you know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing what he's done, and it hasn't affected his football. And I also think that it's helped his England career as well, because all of a sudden people like me, who's an Arsenal fan, all of a sudden you see these guys coming in playing for England, like Man United. I don't really like him because he's playing for Spurs or he's playing for Man United. But you kind of get a feeling of like towards the guy. So I think that it's not only done him good, it's also done the PR of Man United well as well. Like, you know, and you know, if he scores on Sunday, I'm still not going to like him. You know what I mean? But you could tolerate it a little bit more than say if somebody else scored, like, you know. So and I think that he's come out of it really well, and good luck to him. And I think that he gets all what he deserves.
And Callum, like yourself, like you're a journalist yourself, and you're like within the Football Writers Association. Like, from, like, I suppose the media standpoint, Callum, like how is this work that Marcus Rashford has done? How has that been kind of perceived in the media, and how is the general feeling around the media around Marcus?
It's been incredibly well received, and Lee alludes to the point perfectly. Lee summed it up perfectly. It just says so much about his upbringing and the fact that he's a young man in his early 20s, and he's standing up and making a real difference. And a lot of people thought when he got the MBE, was that a way of maybe trying to say thanks for what you did a few months ago, but maybe just pack it in a wee bit now. But he's been honest and open to say that he won't be doing that. And I live in Scotland, as you know, and we do give out free school meals during holidays, regardless of COVID or not. We've always done that in recent years. But in England, when I had heard that wasn't the case, I mean, the way I look at this situation is, regardless of what your politics, if you're Labour or you're Tories or whatever you are, kids that can't afford to eat should be being fed. And it doesn't matter if it's England or Spain, Bosnia, America, you name a country. If there are kids out there of school age who get free school meals term time, when you get to the holidays, those kids should be fed. That's a personal preference. That's a personal opinion. And I think Rashford deserves immense credit for sticking up for those kids, because, as he has said so admirably on BBC Breakfast and other programmes recently, he was one of those kids, and he was given support. He was lucky he had a family that could try and support him. I think he said at one point his mum had 3 or 4 jobs. We've all heard those stories. We probably grew up in circumstances like that, all 3 of us here. And I think it's important that not just Marcus Rashford, but other footballers and sports people feel that they can express their opinions. Now, as I say, I'm not saying they need to express political views of what party and this, that, and the next thing. But in key issues like kids getting fed, I think most people can agree that's something that should be done. And I saw a question pop up there from William asking, do you think his performances on the pitch have improved with the positive attention? Quite possibly, I would say, William. I think Marcus Rashford clearly feels from all fans, as Lee said, whether it's Arsenal, even Liverpool fans, Man City fans, that people back what he's doing. And long may his good form continue, and long may his positive work off the park continue, because one other thing I want to add to this is, again, don't want to get political too much, but Matt Hancock came out and said that Premier League footballers weren't doing enough during the pandemic. Jordan Henderson did quite a lot during the pandemic for his local area and other charities. All the footballers donated money. You saw Rashford's cause. Arsenal, Tottenham were allowing facilities of theirs to be used to store food for food banks and for the NHS. I think that the attitude from certain people that footballers don't care about society is wrong, and I think clubs and players, whether that be Rashford, Arsenal players, Tottenham players, everyone is showing it. They've all shown it, and I think football, no matter how big Man United and Arsenal are, their local communities still matter, of North London and of course Manchester and Stretford. They matter to them, and these clubs do a lot, and it should be recognised that people within football do care about their fans and their communities.
Yeah, like 100%. And like even here in Ireland, like look, I suppose like there is a lot of issues here with the pandemic, and to see kind of what Rashford is doing and other footballers like Henderson, Mesut Ozil has done a bit there as well recently as well. Like to see this happen, it kind of like it brings a smile to my face, because they're using their influence in such a positive way, and they doesn't like you don't see it, like you don't normally see it, and especially during a tough time for everybody, like not only just one area of the world, it's literally the world who are going through this tough time at the moment, and to see the footballers can all come together, use their influence in a positive way, it's very good. And the fact that look, Marcus Rashford has done it again, it just speaks volumes. Even after getting his MBE and getting all the recognition, he's still going on and doing it. Just speaks volumes what he is as a person. And look, I'm kind of, I suppose, proud to say that he's one of our own, in that respect as well. Like I suppose I can like him that bit more. Whereas Lee now, if he scores on Sunday, as Lee said earlier, Lee won't like him, won't like him just as much. So just Callum, just with regards to this, with the result and the combined 11, because I know you have to jump off, Joe, quite quickly. I know you're busy this evening. Just with regards to this, can you quickly just give us your combined 11 in United and Arsenal, and then also your score prediction?
I think in terms of combined 11, I would go with David De Gea in goal. At right back, I would go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a better defender than Hector Bellerin, but Bellerin is a good player, and he's been unlucky with injuries over the piece. At centre back, that's a question I don't think Leo or I want to answer. I think Gabriel started his Arsenal career relatively well, so I'll put him in, and I'll put Harry Maguire in to show some faith in the Man United skipper. I think he needs some faith at this moment in time. Left back, without a question, Kieran Tierney. You can call me biased because I'm from Scotland, but for me, he's one of the best left backs in the league, genuinely. And I think Arsenal, £25 million was a snip. I watched a lot of them at Celtic up here, and you think Luke Shaw went for £30 million about 5 years ago, and they got Tierney in the current modern market for 25. I think it was a great deal. Midfield 3, I'm going to go Thomas Partey holding. I think, let's be honest with you, he's got more mobility than Matic does, so he has to go in there for me. I would go with Bruno Fernandes in the centre of the park as well.
My man.
And I think, as you know, Keane, you're the fan of his penalties, of course. In terms of the other midfielder alongside Fernandes and Partey, I'm a bit torn. On reputation, I think I would put Paul Pogba in there. But at the same time, I mean, Ollie's shown recently that he has the cojones to drop him, which is good, because all players should be able to compete for their place regardless of their status. In the front three, I would say I would go with Marcus Rashford, I would go with Lacazette up top, and I would go Willian on the right wing.
No, Aubameyang.
He's up front.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of Lacazette, he's meant to make.
Sorry, I meant Aubameyang. Sorry. So Rashford,
Rashford. I have to call him the best striker in the league.
Sorry. No. Rashford on the wing. Aubameyang. Sorry, beg your pardon. Up front, and Willian right wing. Sorry, Lacazette's on the bench. Sorry about that. Lacazette's agent was probably going to be on the phone to me there. Sorry there. In terms of the score, I I think United's home advantage will count. I think it will be narrow. I think it'll either be 1-0 or 2-1. I actually think it'll be quite a cagey game, if I'm honest with you. What I would say also briefly just before I go, United and the Diamond, Keane, we've talked about. I think it's bold going with the Diamond against Arsenal. Willian is a player who will get up against your fullbacks if you don't have a wide player in front of Wan-Bissaka. You mentioned Lacazette and Aubameyang getting up against Maguire and Lindelof for pace. That would terrify me if I was a Manchester United fan listening to this. That's a prospect I don't like. But what I would say is I think Rashford in the form he's in, Martial in the form he's in, and the ability of Fernandes to pick a pass that I'm sure Lee would say he's probably not overly confident with his centre halves against United's attacking players. So although I'm saying it's cagey, I think there could be goals as well.
So Lee, just before I ask you your predictions and in terms of your combined 11, your starting 11 for Arsenal, I'd just like to thank Callum for coming on this evening. And he's again a fantastic contributor to this channel. He's a very good servant to this channel. He does great work over in Football CFB, and he does fantastic work with the Football Writers Association. So big up to Callum, and I do thank him for coming on this evening. Lee, in terms of your combined 11 between Manchester United and Arsenal, do you have any kind of different kind of choices that Callum had there, or do you have kind of a similar 11?
Very, very similar, to be honest. I would the goalkeeper. I think both goalkeepers can be excellent, and then all of a sudden have got dodgy times in them. So, but I think that De Gea just wins it for me on that side there. Bissaka, I would go with Gabriel's been a revelation since he's come in at Arsenal. I know he's only had 4 or 5 games. He's been absolutely superb. We'll get into in my team there, and I will go Harry Maguire. I know he gets stick Harry Maguire, but he still does a good job in there. Tierney on the left. I think Bruno Fernandes has got to come. He's got to get in. What he's done since January, he's got to go in. Partey, I've not seen enough of Partey, if I'll be honest, to say that he definitely goes into the team, like Callum said. But I think Match's been a very good player over the years, but that's a tough one. I would like Danny Ceballos, by the way, has been probably the best midfielder in the from lockdown to the end of the season. Last season was probably the best midfield player I've seen in the league. But I'm going to go Pogba in there. You can say what you want about him. I think it's I would go along with that, but for me, Saka comes in there. I think he's been absolutely a revelation for us in the last sort of I think like 2 months, 2-3 months of last season now. I think that if Mikel Arteta just played Partey and Ceballos or Partey and Xhaka and just let him have the roam of Old Trafford, I think he would do so much better coming from the left, coming from the right. But that's another story. Up front, Aubameyang has to get in, even though he's been absolutely poor so far this season. Rashford definitely for me. Like Rashford, I'm loving what I'm seeing of Greenwood as well. I think that he's really good as well. Callum was saying there about Willian. I don't think Willian's pulled up any tree since he signed for the Arsenal. I think that Callum, was probably talking about in his Chelsea days. And if it was his Chelsea days, he'd walk straight into the team. But I'm going to go with Pepe in there. I think Pepe is about to. I might be wrong, but I think that the pressure of the transfer fee and all that, and all the COVID sort of stuff going around
country as well.
Yeah, he's going to need a little bit of time to develop, and I think that if and this is a big call, I think that if Arteta coaches him right, manages him right, good bit of man management, I think that he's a player. I really do. He's got ability. You see that with his goal yesterday. Forget who it's against. It don't matter who was in goal that day. That was a goal, and I think that he's got the ability to be a real top player, and I think that so I will go with him at the moment. But I think that you could argue with Greenwood. You can argue. I'll tell you who I thought was playing well until he got suspended ridiculously. By the way, was Martial. I thought he was looking dangerous as well. So yeah. I think that he's suspended tomorrow, which is on Sunday, which is good news for us because he's a player that has just started. He's a little bit like Pepe, I think that come with a big transfer and he just needs to get that little bit of consistency in his game. and an arm round his shoulder, and I think that he could be, because there's a player in there as well from your guys' point of view. So, but for me, and I think that on Sunday, I really do feel that Pepe could be I say the difference, but he could be the match winner for us. I know everybody will talk about Bennett, but we need someone that's going to take
in the first fixture at the Emirates last season. Like he did score the winner, and that before that game in the Emirates last season, he was under a lot of criticism. Nicolas Pepe, like not only Arsenal fans, but also opposition fans. Like I'd be honest, if anyone go back 12 months ago on my timeline on Twitter, I was criticizing him. But then, like in the new year, he kind of turned the corner. Yeah. He scored goals in big games against United, against Chelsea. So like, there is a lot of time there. And look, he's still a young player. He's only in his early 20s. So like, there's a lot of development there.
Exactly, like one player that I like to disappointed that Arsenal has been injured is Martinelli. I think that when we get him back as well, I think Arsenal will be a different animal, because he's got that pace, power. Not so much power, but he's got the pace, eye for a goal. He's more direct. So I don't think that we've got that in our team at the minute. We're all a little bit tippy-tappy footballers. He's more direct. So it'd be nice to get him back, but unfortunately that's another month or so away,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
There you go.
So I'm going to give you my combined 11 lead. Now I've actually went a completely different formation than both of yourselves. Now I've gone with a 3-5-2 because that's what I think how United are actually going to play tomorrow. So I've gone with a combined 11 with that, and I'll give you my starting 11 after this. But my combined 11 for United and Arsenal is David De Gea in goal. But again, it's actually close. I really like Bernd Leno, and I think he's been a decent goalkeeper for Arsenal. Yeah. He divides opinion. I know I spoke to Claude today, and Claude want rather Martinez be our goalkeeper than Leno, and William, who's a podcast regular. He was actually talking to me today, and he said Martinez as well.
Keane, if Martinez was still at Arsenal, he'd be definitely in. He'd be definitely in, like, you know what I mean? So
100%. I have David De Gea in goal. Now I've went with a back three. I've gone to 3-5-2. Now I've gone with Wan-Bissaka as one of the back three, Harry Maguire, and I've gone with Gabriel as the left centre back. Gabriel has actually done quite well. He's shown he's actually a very good presence with Arsenal since he's come in. Very, very good aerial ability as well, and be the left side centre back in this back three. So you need a left-footed player playing there. I'm not like either with left backs or left centre backs. I'm not this big fan of playing a right-footed player there because it just ruins the balance of the team. I'm not a big fan of it. So I have Gabriel there. Now my midfield, I've gone very attacking. Now I'm just going to throw a disclaimer out here with this. I put no full-backs in as my wing-back positions because I suppose I'm going to score goals here in this game. I'm not being conservative here. I'm going for the juggler here. And so Thomas Partey is my only holding midfielder in this 3-5-2. Again, I've mentioned on this show and I've mentioned on the Stretty News podcast as well that he was a player I thought United should have signed as the holding midfielder in the summer. I think that where Nemanja Matic is very good, very experienced, but he can't sustain a 38-game season and he's not as mobile, whereas Thomas Partey can do everything. He can play box-to-box. He can play holding midfield, very strong in the ball. And again, like he's a player who I thought would definitely benefit the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba. So he definitely comes in. And the other player that comes in for me, again, look, the best player at Manchester United since he's walked in the door, Bruno Fernandes. Again, he saved Ollie his job. If I be honest, like we were 14 points off the top four when Bruno Fernandes came in. Like let's get this straight. Bruno Fernandes has been our best player since he's walked in that door. He saved Ollie his job alone, so he comes in there. And just again, I agree with both yourselves, just based off reputation. On his day, Paul Pogba. Again, look, I've been very vocal in the last couple of weeks. I haven't been happy with him, but I suppose it comes down to the nitty-gritty of it. And as Everest said on Sky Sports, you're going into a cup final. Does Paul Pogba get into your starting lineup? Absolutely. On the right, I've gone with Willian. I know you're just saying a moment ago that Willian hasn't tore it up at Arsenal. Now, I think I might get slaughtered for this now because my team is nearly going off reputation, not actual form at the moment. But I'm going to go with Willian at the moment because, like, look at on the right wing, and as you said, as Chelsea days, he was quite devastating. And look, he at set pieces, he's still a threat. Like he's still very much a threat as set pieces. So definitely in this team, I definitely would have him in there, especially with Gabriel and Maguire coming in from corners. I think he'd be devastating. Left wing, again, Sir Marcus Rashford. Look, we've said enough about him at this stage. Everyone knows at this point his qualities on the pitch and off the pitch. And then this front two, even though he's suspended, I'm going to put him in there anyway. I'm going with the front two of Martial and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Again, I think that midfield kind of, I suppose, 7. It's midfield 5, and then the 2 up front. That beat any team in Europe, like, do you know what I mean? It really would. On its day, that midfield and that front would probably beat anyone in Europe. So that's what I've gone with now. But like, I suppose defensively, I know if I was talking to any other lads in the podcast, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" So like, you need it more.
No, but I'm with you. Like, you know what I mean? Get your best players in. You know, and that's and whatever system that is. I think that's where Mikel Arteta's got to maybe take a leaf out of your book there, Keane, and get his best players in. Whatever system it is, get them in. Stop leaving one or two of them out to
accommodate
the system. Losing game. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you.
So just before I get your starting 11 prediction, Lee, I'd like to just ask you a quick question just about Mesut Ozil just quickly. Obviously, like he's a highly paid player at the club and he's on £350,000 a week. And I've been arguing with Arsenal fans recently online and also my own group chat for this podcast, because one criticism of Arsenal lately has been creativity. Like, do you think Mesut Ozil should have been brought back into the fold, or do you think his time is up at Arsenal?
Well, it's a two-part thing. His time is up because that's what the club have said. You know, I don't agree that it's for footballing reasons, but all said and done, that's what's happened. So you have to look at it from that point of view. Then I look at it on the footballing side of things. Mikel Arteta wasn't pulling up trees last season. Let's be honest, he wasn't. But Arsenal are lacking a little bit of creativity. Now, I'm not saying that he should be in the team, but he can't get in the squad, the 25. You know, I'm feeling that, 10, 15 minutes of a game left, against Man United, it's tight. Especially against Leicester when they're packing like 5 banks of 5, and looking to hit you on the break. Sometimes you need that little bit of magic. And also, I think that with Mikel Arteta, for whatever reason, he's got now what I think, when you look at it, you've got Partey in there, Xhaka, you've got El Neni that can do a job in there, Sabaya. So you've got 4 sort of strongish sort of players in there. It would suit someone like Mesut Ozil. You can just say, well, like I'm saying, get Saka into that position now. Even though he's 18, I feel that he's got strength behind him where he hasn't got necessarily to worry about his defending. But they've chose to go down that route. Listen, I think it's a bit of bad PR, bit of everything poor from Arsenal. I think that what we should have done was we should have bought up his contract and said, because we're still paying him whatever happens now, Keane. We're paying him now. So we should have just, and I don't think it's making a good situation for the team morale, and it's putting. So for instance, if we'd have paid him up and he'd gone now, it didn't matter if we got a while or we haven't got anybody. No one could turn around and say, "Well, we got Mesut Ozil and all that." Like, at this moment in time, as soon as Arsenal don't do, if Arsenal lose on Sunday, there'd be people bashing, "Well, if only had Mesut Ozil." So it's putting, I think, unnecessary pressure on Mikel Arteta. That's how I feel about it, and Mikel's not. Ozil's certainly not going quiet neither. He's being very, very clever with what he's doing and saying. Got a very good PR team behind him, and certainly with his tweets and everything there. So I just think it's not good for Arsenal. It's not good for Mesut Ozil neither, and it's not. More importantly, it's not good for a young manager that's starting to make his way. Like for instance with Man United, Ollie's come in there. Whether you like Pogba or whether you're not, obviously Mourinho had problems with him, and I think that Mourinho has problems with any always. Like he's had problems with Pogba, and now he's gone to Tottenham. It's Dele Alli. He'll always have problems, but I think that what happened is Ollie come in, arm round Pogba, and all things seem to have got better. I think that Mikel hasn't wanted to do that for whatever reason, and I think when you're a young manager, you need to get players on side. You need to get the players in, which he has done. He's done very, very well with Xhaka, by the way. He's done it with Aubameyang. He's done it with certain other players. But what's happened now with Ozil, I think, is putting you know, I think someone like with experience, Alex Ferguson would struggle with this, you know, how to deal with it, because you're not just dealing with the playing side of it. It's like, you know, his friends, his teammates and everything like that. It must be a hard thing to manage. And you're asking someone with no experience to come in and try and deal with that. I think there's been a poor all round, and leaving it to someone with inexperience is unnecessary and not fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I suppose I look at it from the sense that, I suppose, from a footballing side of things, like I've watched quite a few Arsenal games since the lockdown, and he's that one player who adds something. He's that X factor, you know. And
yeah,
I think he's a player.
Fernandes done it for you guys.
Yeah,
we're in the same sort of boat. You know, if we'd have got Aouar, who knows? But I totally agree.
Excuse me, sorry. In terms of your starting 11 prediction, like Arsenal recently went to 4-3-3 against Leicester. Then they went back to the 4-3 against Dundalk last night. Like, how do you think you're going to line up on Sunday against us?
I think it'd be important if David Luiz is fit. I don't know if he got a dead leg or it was a muscle strain. Hopefully it's just a dead leg, but I think that if he's fit, I think Arsenal will go with a free at the back. Try and because the one thing I think with Man United, and you watch them against Chelsea, you'll know this as well. They're very, very good on the counter attack. That's why, you know, a great result against PSG doing that. And I think even against Leicester, they let them have the ball and then hit them on the break. You know, so that's the way that Man United want to play. I don't think that we need to go gun ho against you. Let's let you. You're at home. Let you come and do what you got to do. And I think that if you look back to us when we played Chelsea and Manchester City in the Cup, we done that very, very well. And I think we'll go back to that. And I think that we'll play. If Luiz is fit, I've got a little feeling that it'll be Mustafi will get in onto the right hand side of it, David Luiz, and I think it'll be Gabriel as the 3. Might change if Luiz is not fit, and then Tierney will come into that role. But then I think that they go with Tierney as a wing back with Bellerin. They're keeping it like solid, and I think that he'll change the midfield. I think that he'll play. I think that maybe definitely Partey will start, and I think it's. I think Xhaka will play as well. So I think there'll be the 2 in there. Then then it'll be Saka playing on coming from the left. I think. It's a toss-up between Pepe and William, but I think that maybe, as I said, I'm going to stick me neck out for Pepe, and then there'll be Aubameyang, hopefully
Up front,
playing up the front, like, you know, and that's what I see down the middle. I think that leaves me with one more, and I think that it may be that you know, may play maybe of a 3, and William could probably squeeze in there. But then Lacazette didn't play yesterday, so he may go with Lacazette, Aubameyang and Pepe or William. I don't know. This is a trouble.
You have options up front.
We have great options, but we've got options with players not in good form. It'd be great if they was all in their top form. And I think this is a problem with Mikel Arteta. I don't really know what's his best team at this moment, so best formation. But I don't think he does. But I like the thing about Mikel Arteta. He'll look at Man United over these next few days and think, like, where in the past, under, you know, and I go back to even the great days of Wenger and Ferguson. Alex Ferguson always changed his team. He had always 4-4-2. When Arsenal come to town, whether it be home or at Highbury, he would change it to 3 in midfield and change it. And he'd done it just against Arsenal. No one else, but he'd done it against us and, you know, got results. I remember just a bit of personnel. Whoever was in that day, and whether it be Fletcher, he'd bring him out and bring someone else in.
He always done that. He always done that against Arsenal.
Done it against Arsenal because
he always put him in there, yeah.
But Arsene Wenger never done it. And what I like about Mikel Arteta, he'll look at Man United tomorrow on Sunday. I keep saying tomorrow for some reason. But he'll look at it and he'll say to himself, right, that's the side that or system that I'm going to go for. Now, whether it works or not, that's another thing. But I do like that he is brave enough to change systems and change formations to suit the opposition. And I think it's giving it's not. People say, "Oh, you're giving too much respect for the opposition." No, it's not. Alex Ferguson done it for us. Didn't give a respect. He wanted to win the game of football. So I believe that it's the way to go, and I quite like that about Mikel Arteta. But he's got to, the last couple of games, honestly, Keane, he got it. He could have got it right against Liverpool. We could have beaten Liverpool if we'd have took our chances, but we didn't. So, don't matter what system you have, the players have got to bloody perform in it. Yeah, got to take their chances. Exactly.
Whether it's 3 chances, 4 chances, or even 1 chance you get in the game, you have to be clinical, especially at this level.
And that's what Leicester did against us. Leicester had 1 chance against us. 1-0. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to look back at that and go, "God, didn't we bore the arse off everybody that day?" No, we got the 3 points. What's matters?
3 points. That's the end of the day.
And that's all that matters. I don't care if we don't get a shot off until the 89th minute, but if it's the winner, I'm going to love it. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's 100%. How I feel.
And look, I'm going to give you, like Lee, in terms of my starting 11, I'm going to give you mine. Now, I've been vocal and I said I want United to play the diamond, right? I think that's where we should go. It's not going to happen. I'm calling it now. It's not going to happen. Ollie's going to try and match with Arsenal. He's going to go pragmatic. He's going to go with the 3-5-2 like he did against PSG. I see this happen. I see him kind of try to do in-game management again and bring on kind of the big boys later on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
To open you up. So what I'm going to go with, I think that this is what I think he's going to do. This is not what I want United to do.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with David De Gea in goal. The back 3 is going to be Axel Tuanzebe, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka right wing back, Luke Shaw left wing back. Then the midfield 3 he's going to go with a midfield 3 of Scott McTominay, Fred and Bruno Fernandes. And then he's going to go with a front 2 of Mason Greenwood and not Martial, he's suspended. Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford. That's exactly what he's going to go with. He's going to try go tit for tat with Arsenal. Obviously draw you out and try hit you in the break. I think that's something he will do in this game. Because he obviously knows if he goes gung-ho early on against Arsenal with their counter-attacking the threat, we could be seeing another big score if we do, because we still have our frailties at the back. Let's not second guess that. We still have that ourselves. So I think Solskjaer will be wary of that. He'd even done that with his diamond setup the other day. He put Fred in alongside Matic in there as well. So I think we do have flexibility in terms of what we can give off our bench. In terms of that, but I think we'll go with 3-5-2. I think McTominay and Fred will play in there. They've been widely criticised for their attacking ability, but in terms of giving the team balance, they freed up Bruno Fernandes to do his bread and butter, which is so great. Like, he doesn't have to do any of that defensive responsibility, which he was doing early on the season when we had Matic and Pogba in there, because he had to keep running back because Paul Pogba wasn't doing his defensive work. In terms of score predictions, Lee, I'm going to just come to you on that, because many people are predicting cricket scores. Other people are predicting pragmatic 0-0 draws. Others are saying, it's going to be a score draw. Like, how are you feeling? How do you think it's going to go down on Sunday?
I'm not saying it. I think that Manchester United will win. I think that it'll be 2-0 or 2-1. I think if Arsenal score first, I think it could be different, because I think that with Man United push on, we could nick another one, but I don't think that we're set up to do that. And I just think that we're going to fall short against a good Man United. So I'm interested that you said that you don't think Pogba's going to play. I think that maybe not
for the start anyway. I think
I think that Fred's done okay. What I've seen of Fred, to be honest, I've seen him in the last couple of Man United games. I think he's done okay. But I think it would be a midfield battle. And I think that if, look, McTominay, he's quite strong. But I think that if Partey can start bossing it, then I think that may be a little bit of a problem for Man United. And I think that maybe that's why I think maybe Pogba will play. But I just don't think that we've got quite enough. And do you know what I'm going to say now? We've got Aubameyang, Willian, Pepe, Lacazette. They're all good players, but they're not in form. And if they turn up to the party, my pun there, but if they do, then we will in for that. But I just think that them 4 have just been the letdown for us. We've not had them playing at their best, and unless they can turn up, then I think that we're going to be looking at staring at another defeat at Old Trafford yet again.
Oh, stop! the amount of I've Arsenal fans in this show. Shout out to William and Chris. They've actually been quite confident coming to this. They think that Arsenal are going to do a snatch and grab the weekend. They think Arsenal are going to win, which I think could happen.
Yeah, it could. I'd love it to, but I'm being realistic.
Yeah. With myself, I'm going to give my prediction here now, Lee. So many people who watch this channel know what's going to come for this prediction in terms of this. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester United win. I said it on the London show earlier on today. I think Marcus Rashford will put United ahead. I think Aubameyang, like he did in the fixture 2 years ago at Old Trafford, did get on the score sheet. He scored in front of me, sadly.
He's due. He's due, Keane. He's due.
Yeah, he's due. He's due a goal in the big game. So I think this may be the game. So I think he'll put it 1-1. And again, just for all these rival fans out there who hate my Bruno Fernandes propaganda, I'm going to educate the masses and spread this again.
Not for a penalty.
Yeah, so we're going to get a VAR award a penalty, and there's going to be a meltdown on Twitter, and Bruno Fernandes is going to tuck it away. This is becoming a tradition on this Man United show, Lee, where any score prediction I give, whether I predict there's the win, draw, or even lose, I always say a Bruno Fernandes penalty. And my social media DMs, the abuse I get, I welcome it because it's just a laugh, like, do you know what I mean?
Bit of fun,
like, because the amount of disrespect Bruno Fernandes gets online, I think, is unbelievable. People are calling him a stat padder, they're calling him overrated, but the man overturned single-handedly a 14-point gap and saved the man.
I agree with you.
He deserves respect from, and this abuse he's getting. This not from rivals. This coming from own Manchester United fans.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
So like with regards to that, that's why look, I have to just to please
back your man.
Yeah, actually, absolutely back the player. Lee, thanks very much for coming on tonight.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting us. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, and look, best of luck with your channel as well. You're doing a great job over there, and you do a great job over at AFTV as well. And for any of our viewers who didn't tune in at the start, but you're only after coming in now, Lee, do you want to shout out your channel and your socials to our viewers?
So, if you want to follow us, and it's Lee Mark Judges, and that's on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, the same old Arsenal. If you're an Arsenal fan, and you want to have a little bit of fun with that, on same old Arsenal as well. Of course, if like AFTV don't need no publicity, so like it's just big enough as it is, so there you go.
Absolutely. And just for our viewers, again, if you're watching them first time on our Twitter or Facebook streams, or also on the first time for YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and do follow us there at Weekly Armchair on the handle there on Twitter. And we are back on Monday. I do have James Rowe on the channel. He's joined us on Monday to speak to us about the whole Donny van de Beek situation and how that's being received in Holland, because he is a Dutch-based journalist. And we will be talking obviously about the Virgil van Dijk injury as well, because that has drawn up a lot of controversy in the news. So we will be chatting about that also, among other things. So do tune in for that. Lee, thanks very much for coming on.
No worries.
Best of luck the weekend. And
you too. Let the best team win. Let the best team win.
Absolutely, 100%. Cheers for coming on. Look, have a good weekend as well.
No worries. You too, mate.
Cheers.